Ew, gotta get rid of this old Backstreet Boys t-shirt.
Tell me why.
Because it stinks, boys.
Tell me why.
I've washed it so many times, but the odor won't come out.
Tell me why.
No, you tell me why I can't get rid of this odor.
Have you tried Downy Rinse and Refresh? It doesn't just cover up odors, it helps remove them.
Wow, it worked, guys.
Yeah.
Downy Rinse and Refresh removes more odor in one wash than the leading value detergent in 3 washes. Find it wherever you buy laundry products.
I need new music.
Discover new music now. JJO.
Madison Solid Rock 94.1 JJO. It's Brock, and it's time to discover new music. And joining me today from a band that really we've been discovering new music from them since, I think, 2003 when their debut album. Now here we are 7 albums later. New stuff in 2022. Neal Sanderson from 3 Days Grace. Neal, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. I really appreciate the time. I know you said before we got started here that you guys are rehearsing, getting yourself, I know, ready for the road. And May 6th, the new album Explosion's going to be dropping. Obviously, we've heard the first single, So-Called Life, that is out there. I heard it on JJO, heard it all over the place. And then a new video for another single off the album, Lifetime, has just been released. Music videos still as daunting of a task as they were when you guys first started?
First two, they couldn't be any different because, So-Called Life was a performance video that we were, it was like super hot. We were in this like studio in Hollywood that was like, made up to look like a 70s apartment with no air conditioning stuff. So it was just a sweat fest. So that one was, that was definitely some effort. But the second video is definitely a departure for us. And it's something that we're pretty, proud to be part of is we went down to Mayfield, Kentucky for this video. And we decided we wanted to shoot like sort of a documentary style video with just real people, not actors. And there was a story that, kind of touched us. And, Barry lives near Mayfield, Kentucky, only a couple hours away. And as a lot of people know, back in December, they had like a huge tornado just completely demolish so much of the town. And it was kind of something that not a lot of people were talking about. Barry knew a lot of people personally that were affected by it. So we just decided to go down there. We reached out to the mayor and like the head of education and stuff to make sure it was okay. And we just wanted to share their story and try to help them out a little bit. And so we documented some of the devastation down there and some of the people affected. And that's basically made up the video for Lifetime. And then we just decided, we were pretty, taken aback by some of the stories and just the utter destruction to see it with your own eyes. So, we decided to go beyond that. Like just for our summer tour, we're donating $1 from every ticket to support some of the charities that are trying to rebuild that town. It was just crazy to see it all, to go down there and just really see what Mother Nature can do. But in the face of all that, to meet people that are still putting one foot in front of the other and being resilient at a time like that is, I don't know, there's hope still everywhere, but man, was it ever heavy for those people.
Unbelievable. And, for you guys and where you're at, I'm sure I'm maybe putting words in your mouth, but it's got to feel pretty good knowing that you're at this point now in your career where you can really make a difference with what you're doing, not just with the music that people are hearing, but besides the fact, after the fact.
Yeah, I think we've always just believed that if we have a platform and an audience and a reach, it would kind of be a waste not to use that sometimes to just, I don't know, get some awareness out on just issues that people are going through in their lives that we might not otherwise know about. There's just so much information overload right now, just bombardment with international news and everything, right? That there's a lot of times there's stuff happening right in your backyard that you just really don't know about. And so we've always tried to just use that platform and just sort of give back and if we have the opportunity to, and it feels good to do that. And 3 Days Grace has always been about, even in our music, is about kind of overcoming challenges that you feel like you're not capable of doing. That's been in our music for 20 years. So I think it's important for us to demonstrate that as well. When we
I just think it's awesome, man. So congrats. And I commend you guys for doing that. And I'm sure the people in that area in Kentucky and really all over appreciate it as well. You did talk about something there kind of with what we've been going through, whether it's, the current events over in Ukraine and Russia and the pandemic, obviously. Did that have any effect on the album? Was this an album kind of written in real time, or did you guys maybe try and at least shy away so the whole thing isn't like, oh, this is a pandemic album, if that makes sense.
Definitely not a pandemic album, but having said that, we always write, about our lives in the moment and the lives of people around us, and our music has social commentary in it as well. And so, yeah, I think that certainly, I mean, even the title Explosions, and that concept, there's a common thread through the album that just talks about, everybody has a boiling point, and everybody has a tipping point within them where they feel the need to kind of not necessarily explode in a destructive way, but a need to kind of get out and express yourself and be able to say what you want to say and do what you want to do and be who you want to be. In modern society, sometimes that feels impossible or really difficult. You got to hear everybody's opinion. Sometimes you're afraid to voice your own opinion. There's this whole notion of cancel culture. It's like, sometimes it's hard to be heard and there's so much noise everywhere. And that kind of creates this like building up, bottling inside of you that you just want to release, and that's kind of representative of the title Explosions. And even, our first single, So-Called Life, touches on that, is like, you're just, you want to just jump out of your skin or express yourself or just blow up. But do you do that? Like, is that the answer? Maybe that's not the healthiest thing to do. Or in the case of that song, do you kind of find something to take the edge off of that feeling that you have inside, that burning and that explosive power?
When you're writing a record now, is it still the same mindset? Obviously, when you're in your 20s, writing your teens, writing this stuff, and now later on in life, how do you approach an album now 20 years down to what we're hearing as opposed to maybe in 2003 when you guys were together?
I think one thing that we really, we make sure stays the same, making sure it's real in our lives. Like, it's something that's going on in our heads, in our hearts, in our minds. We're very collaborative. When we're writing a song, we put it to the test. Like, we kind of put it through the genuine test. Like, is this like real for one of us, or is this real for the people around us? Because that's the connection with our fans, is that I think they realize that it comes from a real place. And we write about everyday struggles, issues, loss, addiction, anxiety, depression, all that kind of stuff, because we've dealt with it and we've gone through it. And I think that makes a connection, because people listen to that and they go, oh, I thought I was the only one that was feeling like this, but then I heard this song and it kind of speaks to my life, and that's been the major 3 Days Grace connection. So if it's contrived, we throw it out the window. It's like, it's not happening. We're not going to write a song about partying on a tailgate on a Friday night, even though I do from time to time.
Well, of course. Yes, of course.
So that's that remains the same. Now, what it is that is sort of on our minds or like making us, kind of feeling like we're needing to just push through life or just try to get through life or struggle through a situation. Those actual things, those events that are causing that change over time as you get older. But I think that same human trait of, using music as therapy and trying to identify what it is in your life that's not right, what you're struggling through or whatever, and kind of contemplate how you're going to sort of overpower that and move through it. I think that feeling kind of stays the same no matter how old you are or how long you've been doing it.
Madison Solid Rock 94.1 JJO. It's Brock. Discover new music. And joining me today, Neal Sanderson from 3 Days Grace. Looking back, at the bands, those early 2000 bands, or bands really that started in the mid to late 90s and then really came in, hit their stride in the early 2000s. 3 Days Grace, you guys are that pillar now in that rock community. Obviously, here 20 odd years later since the first release, and now is it weird kind of feeling and knowing that the band is this pillar now when we talk about that music and we talk about rock music, that you guys are there kind of holding up this now next generation of artists? Is that kind of a surreal thing to think about, or do you think about it at all?
Yeah, no, I do, for sure. If we can be like a beacon for younger artists to kind of strive and not necessarily like be like us, but just to be able to hold it together for so long, like that part's hard in and of itself. Like just being in a band with three other guys is like, it's kind of like being married to three other people, and you're going to see the best and the worst of them. And you're going to share bus, and there's going to be some ups and downs and twists along the way. And it's a challenge to hold it all together without like killing each other or, having major disagreements. And, we've had some twists and turns, obviously, with 3 Days Grace. And so, yeah, I think when, young bands ask me, like, what's the key? I'm like, make sure you get into a band with people who have a vision that's as grand as yours. And like, and you want to swing for the fence and do it long term and not just try to, I don't know, have some short-term success and you pat yourself on the back. It's like, no, this is something that you can do for the rest of your life but you got to surround yourself with the right people, and you got to kind of just keep it together and not just, you can't get out on the road and go crazy all the time, or like, I don't know. It's just that kind of stuff where that's the longevity part of it is, staying consistent, and then staying consistent in the music. You don't need to be you don't need to be everything for everybody in terms of music. Like some bands I see, they've got like a super hardcore song, and then they've got something that's super poppy, and that works for some bands. But for 3 Days Grace, that's not our vibe. We decided that, we do what we do really well, and fans connect to it. And so I think that we're that consistent band where if people are looking for that type of music and that type of message in the music, that they can kind of, always know that when they listen to us, it's coming from pretty much the same place. It may have a different vibe. I mean, musically we experiment in that, but yeah, I think it's just, it is cool that, we're kind of considered, if like you say, like just a pillar in the, in this genre. That's a pretty cool feeling. I mean, everybody wants to leave a legacy, in life, and the music lives on forever, way past when we're, old or dead and gone.
Is there a song on the record that maybe you're a big fan of? Maybe like, I really like, if someone were to ask you, hey, Neal, play me one song. Do you have one that maybe stands out to you that you really connect with? Yeah,
there's this song that's like a super banger that I can't wait for people to hear called I Am the Weapon.
Oh,
and it's like super heavy. I think it's going to be like a fan favorite for when we play it live. It'll just, I can already picture people like, I can picture the place jumping and mosh pits and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. And then, I knew like with So-Called Life, our first single, as soon as that was mixed and like ready to go, I had a feeling that one was going to be something that people would really attach to. It's just pretty aggressive for us. And we actually used a new mixer for this album. His name's Dan Lancaster. He's been mixing the latest Bring Me the Horizon, and he mixed the latest Muse, which sounds massive. And so that was pretty, that's a pretty big change, changing up the mixer, because he's kind of the guy that kind of puts the final touches on things. And as soon as he finished that mix, I was like, wow, like it jumps out of the speakers. And so he did the whole record. So I'm excited for you guys to check out I Am the Weapon.
With the mixer, I think that's interesting. Was that something you guys planned? Was that brought to you? What brought in the new mixer?
Really, it was just kind of listening to what he had recently done. We were up for a change in that regard. And, he was like a young new guy. And then, we heard some of the new Bring Me the Horizon albums. Like he did Ammo, and he did the latest one that's got like Parasite Eve on it and stuff. And we were just like, wow, like that just sounds next level. It's so fresh and modern sounding, and it sounds so awesome on the radio. And so we just gave him a call and said, hey, like, do you want to mix our album? He's like, absolutely. He's this guy out of England, and it just came back next level. It just sounds huge.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm even more amped up, even with what we've heard. We can't wait for May 6th. Obviously, pre-order going on. Now that we've gotten the important stuff out of the way, we could do rapid fire.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay. Now, and this is part drummer rapid fire, part Canadian rapid fire, because of course you're from the Great White North, our brothers from the North. So I tried to tweak it the best I could for you. So first, let's do the drumming rapid fire. Okay. No wrong answers on this, by the way. John Bonham or Neil Peart?
John Bonham.
Ginger Baker or Keith Moon?
Ginger Baker.
Crash cymbal or ride cymbal?
Crash cymbal all day.
All day. I figured as much just watching you play, but I had to ask. All right. Now on to the Canadian rapid fire. Poutine or ketchup chips?
Poutine.
Oh, by the way, what is a ketchup chip?
It's just a chip that doesn't really taste like ketchup at all. But it's like just red and salty.
Oh, okay. All right.
Highly overrated.
But poutine, that is rated right where it should be, right up there.
Poutine is like just delicious. Absolutely. Gravy and cheese and fries. You cannot go wrong.
All right. Would you rather see the Thetis Lake Monster, aka the Lizard Man, or Ogopogo?
Is the Lizard Man still alive?
I think possibly.
I think we toured with the Lizard Man.
You toured with him?
Yeah, well, there was a guy. He's tattooed green, and he's got like some facial, alterations. And he was doing like a freak show in between the bands. If that's the guy, I'm just gonna go with Lizard Man, just assuming that that's him. We kind of broed out a couple times. We had a couple beers.
All right, last one. Would you rather take a slap shot from Gordie Howe or Bobby Orr? Who would you rather take a slap shot from?
Where am I taking the slap shot to? Do I have a jock on?
Yes, you have a jock on, but I don't know if that's going to help. Yes.
Okay, yeah. I wouldn't want to take one from Gordie Howe, so I wouldn't want to take one from Bobby Orr. But can I wear a helmet? Helmet, jock. I'll take it. I'll take one from Bobby Orr. That's it.
Maybe the Lizard Man will come pick you up and take you to the hospital after you're done.
Yeah, 100%.
Everyone, don't miss out. May 6th, the new album Explosion is going to be out. 3 days grace. Neal, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Discover new music now on the homepage of WJJO.com, in the JJO app, or wherever you get your podcasts. JJO